Wow. 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 So Superman 2025 is a movie released in 2025, starring David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult and Nathan Fillion, directed and written by James Gunn. Straight away, this review is a spoiler-free review, so don't worry about having the movie ruined for you. Please go and watch this film because you will not regret it. Now, this movie is the Kickstarter to the new DCU helmed by James Gunn, and almost putting his money where his mouth is. He has written this movie, he's directed it, and he has not disappointed at all. And this movie wastes absolutely no time in getting straight into the action. We're introduced to Superman, injured, tired from battle. He lands outside his Fortress of Solitude and, with the help of his dog Crypto, gets taken inside where he's then patched up. He's healed with the power of the sun being shone straight onto him, and he's back off into the heat of battle. And there is no letting up from this. I thought straight away we were going to be seeing flashbacks to how he ended up in this situation, but not at all. It just thrusts you straight into the heart of the action, and it doesn't stop. As Superman enters back into the battle up against a villain that is shown to be Ultraman inside a sort of suit of armor, all controlled by Lex Luthor, who has managed to harness the ability to create metahumans with the sole purpose of defeating Superman. And we see almost straight away that this version of Lex Luthor is so much more formidable than anything we've seen before. He has been studying Superman for so long that he's able to anticipate every single attack that he launches before he does it. He knows his attack patterns, he knows what he's likely to do, and counterbalances that. And it's almost like Superman is fighting Lex Luthor one-on-one, but Lex Luthor is armed with just an army of who he's controlling. He's just throwing out sort of code names for different attacks, different punches. The choreography behind it all is just absolutely incredible, and the cuts are just so quick, and you just see just Lex Luthor's demands and just exactly what it means, and it is incredible to watch. And cutting from this scene, we do sort of see Clark Kent in the Daily Planet alongside Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Perry White is in there as well. Perry White is played by the guy who played Bunk in The Wire, and it literally is just Bunk in that role, chewing on a cigar as he always did in The Wire. But you see a little bit of a glimpse behind Clark Kent's disguise. You see him interact with Lois, talking about his interview that he did with Superman, and much like Peter Parker, he does orchestrate his own interviews in order to get himself the juicy stories, get the inside scoop. And it is called out by Lois, and initially you think perhaps she doesn't know the truth, but later on it cuts to them two just alone, and we see not only are they in a relationship, but Lois is aware of who Clark Kent really is. And that leads on to an interview, throwback to the original movies with Christopher Reeve, where Lois Lane is the interviewer for Superman. They sit down and have an interview, and it's almost like an intellectual debate that takes place, with Superman almost coming up against actual resistance for a change and something he can't just combat or overcome with his abilities. Lois starts sort of proposing the idea of, yes, you have gone out and you've sort of solved world crisis taking place, but you've done it without any permission, without any sort of treaties in place. You have just taken it upon yourself to represent the world or whatever you believe to be right or wrong, and go out and act upon it. And in actual fact, there is a much more delicate issue than what you're making it. And it's something that Superman isn't willing to accept, because his viewpoint is, people were going to die. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm here to save lives, and that's what I've done. From that, we get a glimpse into his backstory. We don't see it take place. This is the one thing about this movie, is that you don't see anything about Clark Kent arriving as a child. You just see him fully formed as Superman immediately, and it doesn't flashback, it doesn't take you back then. All you hear is Clark Kent talking about why he does what he does, and it is the message that was sent to him from Krypton by his parents that tells him he is there to serve humanity. He is there to be the best person he can be and almost protect everyone on that planet. Part of that message is damaged, but the key thing is that he has the first part of that message, and that is what he's lived his life by so far. Now, the second part of that message is obtained by Lex Luthor after he breaks into the fortress looking for proof to show Superman isn't this hero that everyone thinks he is. His goal is to show Superman to be a worldwide threat, something that needs to be put a stop to. He wants the sort of world security behind him to say, go and get hold of Superman, go and apprehend him, kill him, take him out of the equation, because there are things in place that Lex Luthor is planning that can't have Superman around. He needs Superman out the way in order to fulfill his goal. And once he obtains this recording, he manages to fix it, so you see the second half of it, and it's presented to the world as being proof that Superman isn't actually there to help them. He's there to enslave them and take control of the earth. And he twists it in just such an intelligent way, sort of saying that you think that he's here to save you. You think that his heroic acts are, in fact, those, but they're not. He is grooming us to believe in him, and therefore we won't question it when he starts to take over. And this turns everyone against Superman and gives him an identity crisis, because everything he's built his life on, his values, everything is built upon almost just a stack of lies. It's not actually what the message was. He's now got a new version of that message that he is questioning, and almost questioning why his parents sent him to Earth, why they would give him this purpose. And during this time, we're introduced to the wider universe in the form of the Justice Gang, which is Hawk Girl, the Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific. And these guys they come in. Clearly, there's an established relationship between them and Superman. And it is excellent world building, just a great demonstration of how to build the world around this movie without sacrificing what happens in this. So realistically, Superman has to overcome this obstacle to defeat Lex Luthor, who is not only sort of trying to manipulate world events for his own political means and financial gain, but is also starting to cause a worldwide catastrophic event as well. So the stakes are so high in this film, but also they are grounded on another front as well, with what Lex Luthor's plan is, with it being separated into two. And it hits everything. It ticks every single box that you would want from a Superman movie. The key difference with this one is Jonathan Kent is still alive, and we see Ma and Pa Kent very early on in the film. We're introduced to them and the fact that Jonathan Kent is still around. He hasn't died. And that gives us the heart and soul of this movie, because it gives him the pep talk or gives Superman the pep talk that he needs to find himself again, to find a new version of himself, in that he can be who he wants to be. It's not about why he was sent, it's about how he interprets that and how he uses that to shape his actions. And this movie, you do see the influence of James Gunn behind the camera in quite a few points. You do see the sort of standard musical number with, attached to the action set piece. You do see the humour that his trademark humour is inserted into this film quite a few times, mainly through Nathan Fillion's portrayal of Guy Gardner as the Green Lantern. But there's also the key part of every single James Gunn movie, or in his superhero movies, of giving an excellent portion of screen time to a obscure comic book character and delivering that in just an absolute incredible way, to the point where you just fall in love with the character. And the pacing of this movie is absolutely spot on. There is no lull point in this film. It doesn't slow down, it doesn't take you out of the action, but it also uses the time perfectly to build the characters in this universe. And it's not just the characters in Superman's immediate world, but it's those around him as well. And there are a few cameos in this film, particularly one that does link back to a previous James Gunn property, and almost brings that film into the fold of the wider universe. There is a cameo later on as well, which does introduce another character, and it is done so well that it doesn't detract from the main story. It's not part of the main story, but it just gives you that wider scope of what lies beyond this movie. The acting in this is absolutely incredible as well. With David Corenswet had a lot of pressure on his shoulders going into this movie, trying to replicate the iconic character and give us something new. Christopher Reeve had it hands down perfect in both his portrayal of Superman and Clark Kent. And whilst other actors have tried their own hand to give us something new, which they have done, I don't think another actor has come up with this part, or this sort of Superman, which is, I would say, is just below par of what Christopher Reeve did, if not on par with him. And we don't see any Clark Kent really in this film. We do see him as Clark Kent sort of behind the curtain, as in him being Superman without the costume on. We don't see him in disguise that much. We get a little bit of a hint of it. But to be honest, I think if we did have more of that, it would slow the story down, and I think it's a good call not to have that in here. But David Corenswet's portrayal of Superman just gives you another dimension to the character. It gives a sense of vulnerability that I don't think we've really seen before. The questioning of his identity and his purpose, it hits him hard, and you see him struggle constantly throughout the rest of the film until he gets that second wind and that faith and belief in natural fact that his purpose hasn't been shaped. He isn't there to do what others say. He is there to take everything for himself and then use that how he sees fit. And his actions in this film are fantastic. You see him not only fight the immediate threats, but also take the care to save everything around and prevent any devastation being caused, prevent any casualties being caused as a result of his actions. And it's not something really I don't think we've seen again before. Nicholas Hoult is absolutely fantastic as Lex Luthor in this film. Again, a portrayal that I don't think we've really seen on the big screen, certainly. He has the same charisma as Gene Hackman in his role, sort of showing off that arrogance behind his own intellectual and his belief in his sort of ability to sort of see things before they happen. And yeah, his belief that he is the smartest person around, certainly in the world. But also the ruthlessness that he's got in him as well, and just the sheer level of evil that's associated with him in this film is just unparalleled. And you feel as though that he really is a threat that only Superman can deal with. Jimmy Olsen is upgraded to perhaps the most underrated character in this film. He is absolutely solid as a supporting character, and his actor is just, he plays it absolutely perfectly. And Lois Lane is, I mean, I don't think there really was much of a drop off with her character. I think her character has really just gotten stronger as the movies have gone on. But this time, she doesn't sort of disappoint. She continues in that strength as well. And it's a testament to this movie, the fact they managed to give every single character their own role in this without sidelining them, and being able to balance all of the new characters that come into it as well as the existing ones as part of Superman's immediate life. And it's an excellent balance and absolutely perfect. The special effects and the musical numbers in this are also spot on with their delivery. There's one scene where you just have the music swelling alongside what's happening on screen to give you that rallying cry, to make you feel as though you want to be part of that rallying cry for Superman to come and save everybody. And it just galvanizes every single emotion in you, and you feel it just bleeding out of the screen. Just, you can grab hold of it. It's absolutely incredible experience. There is a villain that's used by Lex Luthor, which is an obvious nod to Superman 4, I will say, without going into any further detail. That might have already sort of shown you a little bit more than I wanted to, really, but it's just nice to tie it in with those previous movies, as well as having the comic book sort of ties as well. The new suit is lifted straight from the New 52 comics, and Lex Luthor, his main product that he has created, his main metahuman that he has created, there is a little bit of a nod to the Boys comic book, and it is absolutely incredible in its delivery, and the way they revamped that from Superman 4 is, it's absolutely incredible how James Gunn has written this and delivered it so well. And I don't think there really is a bad thing to be said about this movie. There is a lot of debate online, and I think it's mainly driven with the comparisons between the Man of Steel movies or Henry Cavill's sort of portrayal and the new one. But for me, I generally think this movie is absolutely fantastic. And as much as I love the Henry Cavill movies, this one is it's so completely different. I don't think you can compare them, but certainly this one it takes it to a whole new level. As I said, it ticks everything, or every single box that you would want from a Superman movie. The difficulty in what we had before was trying to bring a grounded take of Superman to the big screen, and whilst they tried to make it work, Superman needs that grand level of spectacle behind him in order to make him, or to do him justice on the big screen. And this movie does it. The threats that he has to face off against are, yeah, they're world impacting. They're devastating. And what he's then drawn into later on in the movie is he has a choice between the more grounded political war that's going on against the world threatening threat that is now happening, and the choice he has to make between the two. But it is just, it's absolutely amazing to watch. Overall, this movie is absolutely superb and amazing. I will give it 5 stars without any hesitation. Whether that's still the emotion that I'm feeling on the come down from watching it, I don't know. But for me, this film is almost perfect and a true return to form. Any person, and myself included, doubting James Gunn could deliver such a fantastic portrayal of this character and just a well-rounded film. Yes, apologies are needed, and apologies from me going forward, because I have been proven wrong 100%. So that was my review of Superman 2025. What do you guys think? Have you guys seen it? Whatever you thought, pop your comments in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll be back again with another series of movies, but until then, you guys take it easy, and I'll catch you on the next one.